Okay. Okay, so hello everybody, welcome to the Gentleman at the Table podcast. My name is Peter, I'm your host, and today our guest will be Petr Pospíšil, also known as PiZIN. You can find him at least on the Board Game Geek, as well as on Discord, many Discord channels, as well as on YouTube. He's a Stationfall veteran player, a man who helped a lot during game development. As far as I know, also a huge Stationfall fan, and also a YouTuber who posts a lot of videos about games like Stationfall, like Oath, like BIOS Megafauna, PAX Renaissance, PAX Emancipation, PAX Transhumanity, John Company, and many other I think quite hardcore titles. We will also post a link to his YouTube channel in description, so I also hope you will follow him, subscribe to his channel. So hello Petr, how are you?
Hello, I am fine. I am from Czech Republic, so hello to Poland.
Hello. Nice to see you. Okay, Petr. So maybe let's start. Could you introduce yourself? Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
No, I play board games for a very long time, since I was very young, when the option of the games was not so great, but it started growing and I played many different games, and in recent years I prefer some longer, more complex games about history or some politics. I like the PAX games, which is my favorite type of games right now. And recently I helped with testing of games by Tabletop Simulator Online with Ion Game Design, where Phil Eklund is working, and I help with some of his games, and also with that Stationfall, which is made by his son Matt Eklund. And also for several years I help with Czech board game publisher Fox in the Box with his translation. I am helping with proofreading, and I also translated the Stationfall into Czech language.
Okay, so thanks Petr. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move to the Stationfall. And the first question is, how did you find out about Stationfall?
Oh, some longer story about this. I like that PAX games, as I said, but it's often difficult to find players for it in the neighborhood. So I started playing online. I found some Czech friends using Discord. We played using Vassal. We played PAX Renaissance, but on the Vassal that user interface is not so best for the game. Then we switched to the Tabletop Simulator, which is, for my experience, much better platform. And we started playing PAX Renaissance. Then I discovered that Ion Game Design has open Discord. I started playing with some people around the world, and then I discovered there is new game coming called Stationfall, which was tested, and I joined the tests. And it was like 3.5 years ago.
So a long time ago. I guess many things has changed over time since you started playtesting it.
Like the visual of the game, the main board changed like 5 times, quite quite differently, but the rules and the basic principle was always same.
Okay.
I think that 90% of the rules we started was in the final version, and the main and the late improvements was like some number tweaking and some small little changes, but important changes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And this maybe it's interesting that I did not experience it, but the game at the start as a castle fall that was running from some castle that was ambushed by villagers with forks and torches. But then author switched it to sci-fi theme, which fitted much better.
Mm-hmm.
And that
you
first version of the board looks quite retro style, and it was improving over time.
Yeah, you shared with me those graphics from prototype versions. Version also including this castle. So we'll also post it in the background of our interview on YouTube. So our listeners should be able to see how it used to look like. Okay, Petr. Have you counted how many games of Stationfall have you played?
I think it's like 180 times right now.
Okay.
Most of it online.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so is it still hard to find other fellows, other colleagues or friends in your neighborhood who would want to play with you live?
I think it's not so hard, but in the recent months I was not playing it because people prefer to play it in our Czech language, so I waited for the translation, because I met several people who like to play it, but that number of text in English was difficult for them. I hope that now it will be better for them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great that the Czech version will release soon. Okay, so you have played almost 200 times. The question is, how did you get involved so much into Stationfall? What have you impressed? Do you remember what impressed you in the first few games, and maybe what other maybe things impressed you after like 20 or 30 more games? What happened that you reached such a impressive number of games?
I did not like the games with the traitor, like Battlestar Galactica or Dead of Winter, because playing as traitor is difficult for me. But I like here everybody is traitor against each other, and I am not exactly sure what impressed me so much, but it has nice theme and like some crazy sci-fi version, and I like that every character has abilities that like to be in the line with his team. Like Botanist has the carnivorous plant that runs around and eats bodies of dead people. Or the station chief wants to be the last on the sinking ship and save everybody else. And like all actions in the game like to fit in the team. and it interests me. And in the combination of characters, their agendas is interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, you have played. I guess you have played with a lot of people, and Stationfall has very polarized opinions. So there are people that love it, there are people that hate it. How do you think? What is the reason why people are either so disappointed with Stationfall or fall in love with it?
It's on the first game. It's sometimes difficult that you get a big load of information coming onto you, because there is 12 characters, each with 2 abilities. You have like 20 actions in the games, and it is sometimes overwhelming for the people. But when they get into it, I think people like it. But it is not a game for the first or second play. You need to play it few times to get into it, to be able to play it smoothly.
Have you noticed what are the most common mistakes that especially new players make? Are there any advices that you would give to those new players?
I wrote character tips and the character strategy guide that is in the English game. So I wrote my advice is there, but the basic advice is to get some compromise and do not be too much focused on just your own character, because the game is about switching characters between.
Okay. Okay. Another issue many players have with Stationfall is the fact that they are saying that this game is really just a chaos. So, in your opinion, how much control do you think a single player has over final result, final outcome of a single game of Stationfall?
I prefer count of 4 to 6 people. And in this game with lower people you have better control of the game, because you get more often on your turn. But I like how it works, but sometimes for people can turn very badly during your turn, that you wanted to do something, and when your next turn that character is dead and other character is not there, and it can happen. But usually you need to have like auxiliary plan B or C to execute. And also game is designed so that you have one main character and one bonus character, so you have at least 2 basic directions, and usually character has more goals that can be done. So control is there, but in some way. And I also like there is like almost no random element in the game when you start playing. Everything in the game is done by players.
Okay. Okay. And another thing, another comment that pops out quite often is the fact that players are talking about Stationfall as a party game. So, what's your opinion about it? Is it a party game or a strategy game or maybe something else?
There's nice sketch title. It's that Stationfall is party games for heavy gamers. which is like catchphrase, which express the feeling from the game. Because once you get into it, it is not so hard, and you can enjoy the story even if you are losing or bad things are happening to you. But it's not a party game as in the typical sense. I consider some strategy game with some crazy and fun moments.
Okay, you already said that you prefer this game with 4 to 6 players. Is there any count of players that you do not recommend to play with, and why?
I think the 8 and 9 is quite big. I played with 8 people a few times, and it's too long. Although the game has less turn in general, but it is still too long. And unless people know it quite well, it is too long. 3 players is okay, but not so best. With 2 players, it's much more tactical. It's like chess-like game, because you have very big control over the game, and you can, because you have 2 characters, you can cooperate with them much bigger way than previously. And I was quite surprised that the solo was included for this game. But they made script that tries to mimic the behavior of characters, but they are quite difficult to run smoothly. And also the game loses the nice element that, because the bots, which are played by the game, are revealed, so you lose that nice aspect of the game that you try to guess who are the other players. So I do not recommend playing solo much. I think it's much better in more players.
Okay. After those almost 200 games, do you have any favorite character sets? Like you know, characters that you think together work in some interesting way?
Not exactly the sets. Usually when we play with experienced player, we draw randomly like three quarters of characters, and then to try to add characters to add some balance, like adding some officers or some robots if they are missing. And my preferred character is telepathic rat, because it's quite unique, because that character is item that is carried around by other players, but can tell other characters around telepathic orders, which include jumping from the airlocks or shooting self.
Okay. So as I understand, you like to draw some characters and then put some other characters that would either balance or somehow counter those randomly drawn characters. Interesting. But how do you think? How many games do you need in order to try to successfully predict which characters will balance those randomly drawn characters? How do you think? How many games?
Maybe 10. Difficult to say.
Okay. Okay, and are there any character sets or maybe just single characters that you do not recommend or try to avoid?
In Czech version, we set the character tiers, which are the beginner, medium, and the high complexity characters, because some characters are quite difficult to start, like the legal or the corpsical. So we recommend players do not include these very complex characters in the first games, because they add extra layer of some extra rules.
Okay. Are there any characters that you think you consider most dominant, and if there are any, how do you deal with them?
Oh, dominant in which way? Like winning too often?
Like, yeah, are winning way too frequently in your opinion, or maybe are too easy to win? I give you an example from my small experience. For example, an engineer seems to be quite powerful because, for example, in our games, many times he did not do almost anything. Someone else just opens this antimatter bomb, and engineer was quite easy to achieve many of his goals and a lot of victory points, almost without doing anything. And in such a case, the player who was running engineer was able to focus on making damage to other characters, other players.
Basically, there are two groups of characters that are the escape group and the chaos group. That like 2/3 of characters want to escape and 1/3 want to not escape and make the chaos. And if more chaos characters met, it's easier for them. I do not think any character is too much overpowered. Maybe with more players, like the station chief or the exile who gets points for escaped characters, can ramp points quite much. And that's probably everything.
Okay. Okay, you have already mentioned that you really like this telepathic rat, but are there any other favorite abilities or maybe some interactions between characters in Stationfall?
Like from some games, there is a character that is called Doctor, and she has two halves, Jekyll and Hyde, and two players can be half of each. And I have few nice games when two players was half of these characters and start yelling at each other, "We will do this, and if we will not go this way, I will throw that briefcase away." And the other says, "No, if that will be, I do these bad things for you." And usually they was so run into the own conflict that everybody else was able to do their things, and they stay in the middle of station when it falls down. And I also like that botanist, which sends his carnivorous plant around to get some snacks in the form of dead bodies. And also my favorite character is Medical, which is a robotic doctor who wants to revive people, but programmers forgot to tell him, do not kill them, do not kill people because of this. So he tries to get everybody killed, and then everybody wants to use his services. And one of the best experiences was that Medical was following in the steps of the bio-carnivorous monster, which was hunting just only humans. So the monster killed someone, Medical revived him, monster killed him again, and
ad infinitum. Okay, nice, nice combo, nice combo. Okay. In your experience, how do you rate balance between cooperative play and competitive elements in Stationfall? How does it look like in your games? Do people cooperate with each other, or?
We usually cooperate in some smaller degree. Mainly if you want to escape, you want to get someone to bridge to open ports. But cooperation here is quite difficult because it's best to make someone else do it for you without your own involvement. And usually I try some game like that Astrochimp is running away and he will win if we left him with that so many points. So you should come and kill him. So trying to persuade others to do the bad stuff for you. Sometimes it works, sometimes not.
Okay, so
I sometimes I've seen cooperation between two Haros characters that do not want everybody leave, and they cooperate very heavily to. There is a problem, go kill it. I will finish this guy, but here is like cooperation to some degree, but always there can be danger that other guy will not help you so much.
Okay. Okay. You have played so many games of Stationfall, so probably some excitement about mechanics has at least a little bit worn off. But the question is, do people in Stationfall still are doing enough interesting things to keep you wanting to come back to the game? And another question is it true that the more advanced the players are, the more interesting the story created in the game is? How does it look like perspective?
With more experienced players, you need to hide your intentions more deeply. From my experience, the game is like 1/3 of bluffing and 2/3 of doing real actions. From my experience, even like one character change in the setup can change things for at least some characters. So it is interesting, and also when I'm playing with new players and I teach the game very many times, I use that tutorial set of characters, but I prefer to at least like 3 characters from the advanced set to keep myself sane for not playing always with the same set.
Okay.
And also you can get new Project X.
Yeah, that's true. Those projects are sick. Okay. Okay. There is mm, there is a thing. Actually, it's my issue with one of the most maybe not the bigger one, but that's my issue with Stationfall. It's about actions efficiency, because from my experience, almost half of the actions in the game are just those boring move from room X to adjacent room Y. And my question is, do you have any ideas how to improve game actions efficiency? What to do to avoid, like wasting almost half of your game just to move from room A to room B?
It's part of design that movement is quite often action, and during testing the character was moving around the station from room to room, and at the end was like that every character is like in a reasonable distance from their goals, not too close, not too far, and also to not have all characters in same spots. I do not have much advice here. I think the main advice is to switch characters, that if you come back to character you have two actions available, but not always it's the best solution. Because in some games, when like the half of stuff is dead or already escaped, there is few characters left, and you can play only with few of them.
Yeah, that's true.
That game is not the best always, but from my experience it works almost always. But sometimes you can be on the bad end of the range.
Yeah. Okay. I've got a question because you played it during development, and was there a version of Stationfall, or maybe have you tried, or Matt Eklund did Matt Eklund tried to play Stationfall with something like a free single move, like you've got two actions and a single move as a free action, a single move, so you can always move to the adjacent room and perform two actions.
I think there was nothing like this.
Okay.
I think there was like, now the players have two actions and free pick up and drop. There was in some time there was a free give up to give to other character items, which ended that everybody was handling items to random people, and it turns to be too much strange and difficult. And there was also some elements that was removed from the game because it was not working so much, like in the previous version, that fire can spread around the rotating rings, and usually in the half of the game that all rooms inside it was in the fire, which also there was a rule that when you throw the item you can do it against the rotation of the rings, which was complicated. Also there was some experiment with, there is a contamination that can be caught on the station in Biolab, and there was some test that you can spread contamination with contact, and usually it spread too quickly or everybody was forgetting to do it, so it was removed from the game.
Okay.
And there also was some characters that did not get into the final version. There was, in some late stages, was testing of hologram character that was able to teleport around the station, be able to use the rooms but not carry things, but it did not work much. And also there was some like super secret characters that was called aliens and moles that was not included in the as characters beside the board. One of them was secretly put in the identity cards, and then you can reveal that you are the leader of robotic revolution, or cop in disguise, or some alien signal trying to get to the captain, but it turns to be too complicated with many issues. But maybe if some expansion will come out, it may be included.
Yeah, sounds interesting.
But I think it's good that it was removed, because then the developers can focus on polishing the actual game and not to spread too much.
Yeah. Okay. Are there any strategies that you adapt in order to manage influence? That's the first question, and the similar second question is: are there strategies to manage compromise during gameplay? Do you have any that you would like to share with us?
It's good to have compromise, but it's not always necessary. I usually tell people go for compromise, but not always it's necessary, but it can help you. But it's good to use compromise not too late, because then you found that the compromise is someone who is dead or already out. And influence is difficult to handle. I sometimes put 2 or 3 cubes on some characters that I want but it's also important to check how many cubes you can have in the game. And I say that when I play with Meteklund, he was like the master with this influence bluffing, because he was putting 3 cubes on character he was not interested on, but he bluffed other people thinking that this is his character.
Interesting. Okay. Are there any examples of either individual moves or maybe entire complex intrigues that stayed in your memory the most?
The game is writing nice stories with the sci-fi team. I write some of them. And also in the Czech translation is my story how to fail as security, because there was empty page, so I fill it with story which is completely based on one play. And from some like my memory, I remember a game that I was an inspector who wants to get the briefcase and escape. I was moving slowly to the briefcase, then the astrochimp took it. I want to play as him, but that player revealed, so I could not play with him and tried to escape. And he also has the copy of Digital Assistant, which allows him to use spots much easily than it's normal. and he was running to panic pods. So we stopped him by putting 2 characters inside the pod so he cannot get in. So that after Jim was running to the back of the station where the pods are located, and my inspector was behind him, and then we have like 4 rounds killing each other, moving bodies, taking briefcase, using compromats, moving each other player also included. And after like four rounds, I ended in like I was hoping best position, because he was in the pod. There was my dead inspector with briefcase. There was some dead body, and there was a colonel with my cubes on him, and the colonel has paranoid ability that is difficult to influence him. So next turn I was able to fly away and get nice chunk of points. Then the other character revealed as how it is called in the robotic character that can switch faces. And he said, I was this colonel from the start of the game. He took my briefcase and flight away. So I had no points.
Okay, that was nasty.
Or I remember one game when I was playing as Corpsicle, which is like half dead body that is slowly moving across the station, but it has the helmet from the start, and I was able to get the rocket wings, which allows flying to Earth alone without need to wait for the pods. But because the digital assistant was in the game, they was locking doors around me constantly. I was able to slow get through them. When I get to the airlock, they damage it, so I could not get out, and I stayed on the station and burned to death.
Yeah, this happens.
And my favorite
quite a lot.
And my favorite action in the game is throwing dead bodies from the airlock.
Oh, okay. Okay, Petr. So we are going to move towards the end, but before we will finish, I would like to ask you to name your absolute top most beloved titles that you still play a lot until this day.
As I said before, I like the PAX games and Virus games by Felek Lund. My top board game is PAX Renaissance, which I played very much because it offers many options in each game, and each game is different based on the cards in the market. My second game right now is that Stationfall, and then like PAX Transhumanity, Innovation, Virus Origins, and from other games I like Seventh Continent, about surviving on unknown land.
Okay.
Or Innovation, the small card civilization game for like 1 hour.
Yeah, and also an aggressive one, quite aggressive as a civilization game, in my opinion, and quite mean. Okay, so thank you, Petr, for sharing your opinions, your experience, and your knowledge with us. Also, thank you, dear listener, for spending time with us. So once again, our guest was Petr, also known as PiZIN. My name is Peter, and you were listening to the Gentleman at the Table podcast. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for listening, and goodbye.
Yeah, have a good night. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.